Welcome to the Pennywine Podcast with Mike, Jake, Josh, and Tosh.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is episode, what is it, 3? Oh, man, episode 3 of the Pennywine Podcast. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Super.
We got a good 4-pack of movies for you today. We got Susperia, we got The Omen, we got The Vivitch, and we got
Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, original Dawn of the Dead. And I did not watch Shaun of the Dead, so just Dawn of the Dead.
Well, I'm sure I'll reference Shaun of the Dead a couple times, probably.
Leave him alone, Sean.
Alright.
So I guess, let's just do last time we did chronological order. Let's just do whatever order we feel like. Do you guys want to do like Suspiria first?
That's fine.
Sure.
Sure. Let's do the best one first. So I recommended Suspiria. It's a movie about a dance studio where, a woman goes to the dance studio. She's very starry-eyed, and she would like to be a dancer there. Well, it's a very prestigious studio, and they pay for like all the people to live there and stuff. But, she makes the cut, which is surprising to her. But she, as it goes through, you find out that the studio isn't exactly where it seems. So there's like a, old witches type of deal from the beginning of like creation. And there's like dancing that causes injury to others. There's secret rooms. There's like controlling other people. And there's a lot of fucked up shit in this movie. So let's get into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Mike.
I love this movie, so I'll kind of talk about it last, I guess. But at least you guys, so go ahead, tell me if you liked it or not first.
Overall, I liked the story, but it just seemed like it was it was hard to follow for me personally. I had to watch a couple like ending explained type videos on this to fully get the plot, and then when I did, I was like, okay, that was a good story.
Yeah, I got a lot more from my second viewing. I got a lot more from the second time I watched it.
I liked it overall, but I felt like they could have probably cut some. I felt it was too lengthy.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah. No, I think same thing with Jake, because when I looked up what the movie was about and like the original, which was from this Italian director, and so they had a completely different feel, and apparently that's where like the movie first got really famous, is with the exaggeration of colors and whatnot. And it was interesting seeing this movie being the Russian kind of aspect. Everything was so mute, but all the scenes were very, very, I don't know, I haven't seen anything like it. When you, like the first scene when we come in and you see the dancer like just starting to break apart, and you couldn't really understand like what is going on, but the camera just kept going back and forth, and so it kind of gave you that little more of that angst, so you can really feel it more than other like horror movies that you'd see where it's just like the pretty campy, like Star Wars things from the guns and pew pew, ow ow.
Yeah.
I think Dawn of the Dead for that one. But
that dance scene, like the dance, I called it the dance fight scene in my notes. But like
when you like pretended, you didn't even like contact, like hit the zombie. You like wrapped his arm around it, but like they made like a hit noise after it. Anyways, yeah, Dawn of the Dead is also very, very good. But yeah, with Suspiria, I think it was a different movie, but very, I don't know. I really don't.
I think it's a scary movie. Like it scares me when I watch it.
I didn't get scared. I didn't get scared at all.
I didn't feel that. I mean, for me, from the story-wise, maybe it goes back to just a lot of it went over my head, but I didn't know who most of the characters were throughout the entire movie, other than the main girl and then that one girl that was kind of her friend, but then also became the main character halfway through when she was investigating the witches. I just didn't really care about the characters, so I was not scared for them. I was not scared of any of them personally.
Yeah. Yeah, I was on edge basically the whole movie because I was like, things just seemed to start happening unexpectedly, and it'd start. So I was always kept me on edge because I didn't know what to feel. So I guess in that way, with horror movies, like the suspense thing, where like you always have that music kind of coming up, creeping up. You didn't know when the next thing is going to be for that. But, I don't know.
I think what. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I think what scares me about it is like basically the third act. Like the third act, in my opinion, is the payoff. Like there are some parts of the movie where it starts to drag, but it's all about the build up and payoff. And as I was first watching it, I was like, I don't know about this movie. I don't know. But for me, when they did, like starting when the dance started at the very end of the movie, all the way until the end, it was just such a thrill ride. And like for some reason when it goes to like show the her mother in the past like sickly and she's breathing like that, and then it fades into red, and then after that it goes into that dancing in the end. I just felt like I was watching something that was just crazy, and just like I don't know that. And once the movie ended and I was just sitting there, I was like, all right, well, my heart's beating fast. Like, frick, that is like, I felt like I shouldn't be watching this, man. This feels like too real for me.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Except the old lady witch was hilarious, though. With the sunglasses. I want sunglasses like that.
Yeah, the ending was really cool, except for the old lady. She did not, like...
Yeah.
I think what they did well overall, and I will give them props for this, is they didn't. It was kind of like more of a evil behind the scenes. Like you never really saw. Well, I guess you did see the witches like picking up the girl with the hooks and stuff, the mangled girl. But when they finally showed the monster witch at the end, I was like, you should probably just left her in shadow, or I don't know. It just she took me out.
And it was death at the end too, right? Like death, like the Grim Reaper.
Yes.
That's what I think as well.
That's what it says. I think in the Wikipedia, or I did my after the research.
The black demon thing that comes out and just explodes everybody.
Sure. Witches and death and something like that. But it was hard to kind of pick that out with this particular movie, but I kind of like that in a way because they didn't like follow the traditional guidelines of what a witch is and and also just the aspect of in a dance studio thing that was really interesting, like in school. But I like how it gave a different approach, but it still was very scary. You still had an uneasy feeling the whole kind of time when you did meet those characters.
Yeah,
I think that I felt really bad for the old man because he thought he found his wife the whole time.
Oh yeah, but I knew it was coming. Like whenever he was walking with her, and like they were just talking, and then he the shot cut to him, and I was like, oh, it's gonna cut away, and she's not gonna be there, and bam, there it was, and I was like, nah. And then they just run out like
a screaming old lady charging at you in the middle of the night in the winter. I'm like,
you gotta throw a jump scare in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of jump scares though in this movie.
No, there really
that one
weren't. There wasn't like a cheap jump scare, so it did well with that.
My favorite line in the whole movie is it says Lady Susperia, and then she looks at her and goes, I am she. Like, from whom were you anointed? Lady Susperia? I am she. I'm just like, goosebumps. All right.
But see, I didn't get goosebumps when that happened because I kind of already predicted that something big was going to happen with her, so...
Yeah, apparently that was like with the first or the original movie, that's where it kind of got a lot of the talk was because of the ending scene was just blood. It was just red everywhere, like it's all you could see. And so it was interesting seeing how this movie did it in their own way. But I think it's even worth trying to go in and possibly attempting to do the other Susperia with the Italian director, because apparently the colors are very different, very bright.
You'll get a whole new feel for it.
I watched the special features on this movie, and the director actually said like he grew up with the original Susperia, and so this was very much so a passion project for him. Like, and you can really tell that he at least cares about this project a lot. Like the whole like presentation, like everybody, even though the original Suspiria is apparently regarded as a pretty high on a lot of people's list. Pretty much even a lot of people who are fans of this movie say that it's like even better than the original, which is such a good compliment whenever somebody remakes a movie. And a lot of people, like even that are fans of the original, say like, you know what, the remake is even better. Kind of like, even though it's not a remake, but kind of like the follow up of like Blade Runner when that came out, and everybody was like, holy crap, like this is really good. And yeah, it's really hard to follow up such a classic. It's kind of like if you made a remake of The Lion King in live action, you know, people are not going to like that, you know, because it's going to suck. So.
I agree.
One other positive I'll say about the movie is it did have a very distinct style. Like the camera work, there was like I think it's like the Stanley Kubrick zoom where it's like it's physically moving towards somebody but zooming out at the same time, so it has this weird like uneasy effect. They did that a few times, so that
I love that.
It was a pretty movie to look at.
Yeah, that's hard to pull off, like the dolly backwards and zoom the lens in type of deal. You gotta do like focus pull.
It kind of seemed like a little bit of the Requiem for a Dream feel, a little bit during certain scenes, like when it was when you're trying to kind of figure it out what's going on with how the camera work was going during the times when I guess the girls are getting possessed by the witch and when they're dancing. Those interesting camera angles that kind of remind me of that movie.
Yeah. I definitely thought that the dancing was kind of unsettling. I don't know why. I guess because I'm watching it in the context of a horror movie, but when they're dancing for the final show and when they're dancing the possession in the end, I was like,
But to me, it doesn't really look like dancing.
Okay. What is it then?
I don't.
This movement?
It is. I just never seen kind of dancing like that. Like
it's
the rest of your body and all of
Well, the main redhead girl, she was just like having sex with a ghost on the floor. That was her dancing, basically.
That's what it kind of resembled.
I guess. Did the twist did the twist? Did you guys predict it? Because I didn't. Like that she was like actually Lady Suspiria and all that.
No, I didn't. It did feel like it kind of. I guess that's what a twist is, but it just came out of left field because it just seemed like her whole personality changed. Because like that scene when she was at dinner, or they were at dinner celebrating, and it just kept showing her at the one end of the table, and then the other woman at the end, and then she just walks into the house, just starts taking off her clothes one by one, and I was like, what is she doing?
Yeah. Well, her mom was right when her mom was saying like that, that she had brought this evil into the world and shit.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't predict it, but I knew something major was going to happen with her.
Yeah, I guess because it's she was kind of destined to go to Berlin and go to that school, so it does. I guess on a second viewing, you could definitely see the little clues they put throughout to lead to that.
The whole time, confident.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I encourage you guys to like Redbox again and check it out one more time, especially with the special features and stuff, because it's the type of movie that lends itself a lot to a second viewing, because you do pick up a lot more once you know like what the story is and you're looking for the details and you're like, oh. And so like my second viewing was even better than my first because I picked up so much stuff. But
yeah, I don't personally see myself watching this again.
Okay.
Just because it was way too long. It was about 45 minutes to an hour too long for me.
Yeah.
I thought it really dragged in the middle, but the ending, the scene where the woman gets mangled in the dance studio was awesome, and the ending was cool, but the middle part I could have done without.
All right. Well, I think we're going to disagree a lot when it comes to the rating on this film. So I'm going to go ahead and do it first, and then I'm going to let you guys have the last word. This is one of my favorite horror movies. I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. Fight me.
I'm going to have to give it a 7.
Okay.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, it's higher than I expected whenever she was bitching the whole time.
I was not.
I'd give it I'd say a 5 out of 10 right now. It could go higher, but the only reason because of the unique aspect of like I haven't seen this type of concept before.
Yeah, I'll go with a 5 out of 10 as well. The movie had a lot of style, and overall, it was a good story. I just thought it was very bloated in runtime. It could have been cut down.
Okay. So I guess that's everybody. So you want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the Omen, I guess.
Okay.
So I'll do. Tasha wants me to do the summary of the Omen because she doesn't like being put on the spot. So that's what I'm going to do. So the Omen it starts out, these parents, they lose their child, and then basically they're like, hey, let's raise the devil instead. But they don't know it's the devil. They just know there's an old switcheroo. So the guy's like, I don't want my wife to grieve over this child, so we're going to raise this baby, and that's going to be sort of my secret to bear. And Tasha picked this for Father's Day. So, yeah.
It almost reminds me of the Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
With the concept, like hiding the child about being the devil style thing. So it has that type of concept to it.
The only way it's switched roles, like Rosemary's focused more on the mom, and the Omen focused more on the father type deal. So
yeah, it's a good dual pack, but I like Rosemary's better.
Well, yeah, so do I.
I agree. I'll say that right off the bat.
So Mike made a good assumption. We was watching it the other night, and the scene where he's on his tricycle and he hits the mom and she falls off the banister. The Shining totally ripped that off. Because if you think about it, he's driving down the hallway.
Made it better, though.
Yeah, The Shining did make it better, but it was the exact same scene, basically.
And this movie came out first, because I was complaining when I saw it, and I was like, this movie totally stole it from The Shining. And she was like, no, this movie came out first. And I'm like, oh, well.
Yeah, The Omen has a good 4 years on The Shining.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, more than one movie is allowed to use a tricycle in a horror movie. It very much so reminded me of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it even, if with Good Omens, the thing that came out in Prime, that series, it helped me understand that even, because I didn't realize, like, I had no idea about The Omen, but it looks like this new series that it's on Prime is based off of that concept, but they kind of flipped it in a different way, but it's kind of interesting to see a different kind of perspective on the same story.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Recommend it.
Recommend.
Other than that, it was kind of hard. It was a little slow, quiety in a way for me.
Basically, in that anywhere from the 1960s on up to the 80s, they're going to be slow-paced, very slow-paced.
Yeah, I thought it was slow, but the death scenes were very, for me, I did not see them coming. Like when the babysitter just hangs herself at the beginning, and when the photographer gets decapitated at the end, I was like, oh shit, I did not expect that at all. I thought he was just going to get crushed by the truck or something.
Yeah.
I thought the deaths in the movie were pretty cool. Except the mom who just gets pushed out of a window. That wasn't.
Yeah, that was just pretty basic.
Ooh, what you said.
And my other note is like the main actor, the father. I don't know why they got like a 50-year-old man to play a father of a newborn, but it just seemed like weird casting to me. I mean, hey, anyone can have a baby at any time, but it's like, it would have been more believable if it was like a young couple to me.
In the remake, I don't know if all of y'all have seen Scream, but Cotton Weary plays the father in the remake.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's more believable in the age gap thing for having a newborn. But I didn't really like the remake as good. That's why I recommend the original.
Yeah, overall it was a good movie. I mean, I knew the story because I feel like this is just one of those movies everyone knows the plot.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like,
Yeah. No, I think the same thing, but honestly, I'm going to be honest. I think I fell asleep like a little bit prior, but then I woke up again.
well,
I didn't focus a whole lot.
Mike
on
didn't
it. I
focus
was like,
hardly at
I
all.
looked
He
at
was
my
on his
phone a
phone.
lot. I was just like, I can't handle it. I guess I'm too millennial for this movie.
I did that a lot in Susperia, a lot.
I watched Susperia 3 times. I got through it, and it did pay off after you do a couple attempts.
I think the only one I did that was during The Witch, but I've seen The Witch before, so.
Yeah, we did have, so the theme of the week for this one, accidentally, I think, was slow pacing. All four of these movies are fucking slow.
After we picked all the movies and I was looking at them, I'm like, they're all 2.5 hours?
Yes. This was by far the biggest undertaking, and if there's one of
Except for Josh's movie. Josh's movie was pretty short.
Yeah,
Josh was an hour and a half.
Yeah,
Wait, what was it? The Witch?
Yeah.
The bitch.
Okay.
The Vitch.
Same.
The bitch?
The Vitch with a V. Sorry, one other thing. One little thing that made me giggle in the Omen. When the father goes back to the hospital where Damien was born, and he's like, have you seen, there was a priest here. He's a tall priest with piercing eyes. Have you seen him? It's like, she's like, oh, I know him. Like, that's the most broad description ever. Nobody would know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but yes, that's Ramona Flowers.
But I mean, for plot purposes, it makes sense, but it just made me giggle.
Yeah, I mean,
That's funny.
I don't have too much to say because, like I said, it's self-explanatory. Everybody pretty much knows what the Omen is.
Yeah, I guess one other little thing for me is at the ending when the father is like holding Damien down and like debating with himself whether to kill it. I thought they should have played that up more for the like the emotional turmoil of it, because it was just like he was going to stab him and then he got shot.
Yeah.
But it was very abrupt and there wasn't very much weight to that last.
Yeah, it was definitely a subversion of expectations for me. I was like, what?
I agree.
Is there anything else?
No, it was alright.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all want to go ahead and start the ratings?
Yeah, you go first since you recommended this garbage. I'm just kidding.
For me, for a slow pacing, like I'm not a huge fan of this as I am Rosemary, so it's going to get a 6 out of 10 for me.
I would say the same. Yeah, 6 out of 10.
Okay.
But I also didn't, with me, this is like, after I met you guys, basically, these past couple of years, I've been just getting into the horror category. I don't know the classics necessarily, so the Omen didn't, like, when I actually watched it, so many things clicked finally about everything else I watched in that category. I was like, oh, that's what this is about, and that's what this is about.
Yeah, that's why I've been recommending a lot of classics, because Mike doesn't know much of the classics either. So somebody has to recommend classics.
Yeah.
And I'm more classic than modern. So
Tosh is using this as an opportunity to force me to watch stuff that it's in our 10 years since we started dating, like that I have not yet to watch. So she keeps recommending movies she knows I don't want to watch.
Yeah, Colby.
Hey, that's the whole point of this.
Yes, exactly. All right, Jake, what's your rating?
Yeah, I'd give this a 6 out of 10 as well. It definitely is a classic, and you can definitely see the influence this movie had on movies going forward. But overall, I feel like I think there's a reason people don't talk about this as much in the same vein as they do about like The Exorcist or Rosemary's Baby. I think it's good, but it's definitely had an influence, but it's not something I'm gonna rewatch probably.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, I guess, do mine. I liked it slightly less than an average, but I thought that it had a lot of good historical context. I was kind of in and out of it, and I don't want to give it too low of a score because I don't feel like that I completely gave it its fair shake. So I'm going to say 4 out of 10. I would have been inclined to give it a 3 or 2 because I just didn't enjoy it, but I did learn some things about horror from it, and I do feel like that it has that extra sort of stuff to take out of it, like you guys were talking about. So I think my rating is going to be a solid 4.
Good. All right. Either Jake or Josh goes next.
I'll go, unless you're.
Let's do the Vivitch last. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh, I am so waiting on Dawn of the Dead.
Okay.
I just wanted to say it. It was hilarious.
Okay, so my pick was Dawn of the Dead. I picked it because it's one of those movies I'd always heard people talk about, and I knew the basic concept of the mall setting, and I was like, that sounds cute. So what happens in the movie is there's what?
Anyone got a cigarette?
Yeah, there's a lot of cigarettes.
Yep.
There's these people that work at a news studio, and it opens and it's all chaos because the zombies are coming, and this woman and her baby daddy, that you find out later is the baby daddy. They get in a helicopter and go and get gas and cigarettes and stuff, and then they pick up these 2 SWAT guys for some reason. Or no, I think the pilot was friends with one of the SWAT guys. And then they go to a mall, or first they stop to get gas, and the one guy shoots some zombie children. And then they go to a mall, and then an hour and a half of my life passes, and then a bunch of bikers come in.
Speaking of the bikers.
Yeah, speaking of the bikers, one of them is actually Sex Machine from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't know if anybody else picked up on that.
Yeah, it was it's Tom Savini, right? He's the guy that does all the makeup too.
Oh, speaking of the makeup, you had to bring that up. I felt like they didn't look like zombies to me. They just looked like a bunch of blue people. Yeah.
Yeah, the blue zombies were bad. Like you could, in most of those shots, you could see if they turned their head, you could see where the blue paint stopped around their ear. That was bad. But like the zombie from the cover that they see when they stop to get gas, and he like comes out when the guy's getting the coffee or whatever from the vending machine. That zombie looked cool. But overall, yes, the zombies.
Yeah,
the zombievers were better zombies.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a hard time believing that they were zombies because they just look like regular people with their face painted. And then the bites, they just look so fake to me. When they like bite somebody's arm or limb or something, it's just...
I don't think they were even allowed to touch each other when they hit. Like, there's some type of rule or something going on during the thing where, like, you cannot touch them. You can pretend like it, though. Like, it was very, 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 very funny.
I thought in the beginning when the SWAT team was in, like, the apartment building, I thought when the zombies were, like, eating the flesh there, like, I was kind of into it. I was like, oh, that's pretty...
Yeah, that part was pretty legit, but like any other time, like when the guy got his leg bit...
Oh, yeah.
Truck to truck, it looked really, really fake.
Yeah.
How about the campfire, the bonfire group guys? Like where they're all just having a party in the field or in the farm, and it's like
they're just like
shooting them off, having a
bruise.
And then the cop, whatever, like that scene where like the cop guy keeps missing, and then the other like steps in right in front of him. He's got a whole entire field, but he steps right in front of him to make sure he raises his gun, and then it's like an awkward pause for like 20 seconds, and then continues on to the next scene. Like the camera work, like everything was very, very fascinating and entertaining to watch. Like if this was the thing that started it all, like it was very funny to in 1975 seeing that, because like you can tell they just pick people out from the streets and are like, hey, can you be a zombie really quick for us? Like, oh yeah, what do you need us to do?
Yes,
we're gonna paint half of your face blue, and then you're just gonna walk
up like a robot and drunk and just pretend you're to fight your friend, but you keep missing.
Now find the release.
Exactly.
Overall, I think kind of what we were harping on last month is the tone of this movie was definitely all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, I liked it, and the reason why being, I was trying to put myself in the shoes of the characters. I was like, all right, if the zombie apocalypse is really happening and there's no hope left in the world and you're just trying your best to survive, I feel like the little weird bits of comedy they do and kind of throughout, like in the mall, I feel like that would really happen. Like, I feel like people would try to do something to see the humor in the situation. So I thought the tone being all over the place, while probably not intentional, I thought it worked for the tone of the movie.
I'll have to say the same on Susperia on this one. Like, I feel like they could have cut some.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, agreed.
Because, I mean, it's like, we push pause and it's still like over an hour left. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like we're getting close.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, you should like teach us how to use a helicopter in case you die. And I'm like, you mean when you die?
Yeah, and if she hadn't have been like, I need to learn how to fly, they would have been cool, because the bikers only saw that they were at the mall when they saw the helicopter flying.
Yep.
And there's a lot of thinking and strategy behind the plot of this one, so I give it a 10 out of 10 with the directors. But I do like the feel of, or I like the fact that it does feel like it's an everyday thing. Like, oh, we're just going out and taking care of the dead people. Our lives are a little over, but it's okay. Just stay alive.
Yeah, I think I really did love the mall stuff. I think they definitely could have cut a good bit of it out. But I was having fun when they were going in on like their shopping spree and like picking out the clothes and going into the. I was laughing when they were going into the bank and they went through the whole like back and forth, and then they smile for the camera when they're taking the money. It was cool.
Yeah, and they were gambling with the money that they stole, and
yeah, I think that what the new movie kind of picked up on too when they did the remake, like they took those same good aspects of this original one and kind of like took with this movie and kind of developed it a little bit better, and so it was interesting to see that evolution there.
One thing that I thought was funny was the funny music that plays at the end. I didn't realize where that music comes from, but I've seen that on so many YouTube videos and YouTube reviewers. Like, you know, Your Movie Sucks, and like some of the other ones when they're trying to round up like all the mistakes the director made in something. They'll always use that like trumpet music at the end. It's like.
What? But isn't that? I think that was just music that you would hear in a mall, right?
Oh, okay. I don't know.
I
assume that's where this movie originates, but maybe not.
I mean, any mall I've been to just play regular music, so I don't know.
Definitely worth watching. Like the whole movie was definitely worth watching. It doesn't matter if it was scary or not. Like it.
It was definitely not scary, but the mall stuff was cool. I thought overall the characters were likable enough, except I felt the same way about Night of the Living Dead, the original when I watched it. I was like, the female lead has nothing to do. I don't know why she's here. She doesn't really do anything that's redeemable. Like, she doesn't do anything to help the plot along.
Exactly. She's just in the way.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, that's not the actor's fault. It's just like, apparently George Romero doesn't. He's like, I got to put a woman in there, but I don't want her to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I liked it. I just agree that it definitely could have had 40 minutes or so cut out of it.
Oh yeah.
Agreed.
But I loved the Buddhist zombie. That was my favorite. And I was laughing so much at the end when the biker gang comes in and the one guy stops at the blood pressure machine and he's like looking around frantically trying to get real quick, and they just rip him in half. I was just that might have been too far. Like, that was not believable as something that would really happen, but it made me laugh. So
it's pretty funny.
Tasha commented about how the one dude like didn't hesitate to like kill his own family, but then later on in the movie he like dressed the dude's wound and was like completely oblivious that he was going to be a zombie.
He acted like he didn't want to kill his friend, but it was like you had no problem shooting your family in the head at the beginning.
Which the black guy that
Yeah,
in the
mhm.
basement?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, the audience is more attached to this guy because they've gotten to know him, so I'm going to act that way. But then that's like inconsistent with the beginning of the movie. 'Cause he's-
I thought the way that the one SWAT guy that got bit when they were doing the trucks, like his kind of unraveling into going insane felt realistic to me too, because he just kind of started treating it like a game.
Yeah.
He wasn't thinking about the real consequences, and he was like real jazzed up, and that's why he died. Is he just got cocky? It felt like would really
I would
that's
have not
really
went.
happened.
I would have not went back for that bag because that's what screwed him up too.
Don't go back for the bag.
I also didn't know why they were doing the trucks until the end. I was like, oh, I guess it's to block the zombies from getting
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, why do you need 4? You could have just done it with 1.
Because more is always better.
I guess.
Gotta pad that runtime.
Moore's law.
Yeah, I feel like if this is the like
Nobody
one of
gets-
the beginning zombie kind of movie things, like that started off like compared to where we are now today with The Walking Dead, and just the difference between the two, and like you can see a lot of the weaknesses from that one that other directors loved about it, but they wanted to make sure that they could tweak it and keep it better and better and better.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole of like the characters too. Even the newer Walking Dead, they did more of like focusing on that too, like the emotional, like even Walking Dead. That one had that whole characters evolving through this shitty time, and seeing that start from at this point was an interesting. I think all of these movies had that whole like initial. This is what started all of this type of category of movie, of horror and scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So I guess we can do ratings unless anyone
Okay.
else has any
No.
closing thoughts.
Nope, I'm good.
Yeah, since you recommended this one, Jake, you go first, and then we'll go like Jake, Josh, Tosh, and then me.
I would give this movie a 7 out of 10. I had a good time watching it. It was a fun ride. It wasn't too dark. It wasn't overly campy. I mean, it was pretty campy, but it wasn't ridiculously campy. But if I watch it again, I'll probably fast forward through the middle.
All right, Josh.
I'll give it a 7 out of 10 purely for the entertainment value. I was entertained.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
No.
You what?
You guys got
You
the
said
same
8,
rating so
didn't you?
far. I'm excited.
I thought Jake said 8. I said 7.
Yeah, they
No,
did.
I think I said 7
You
too.
did.
Yeah,
You did.
Okay.
All right, well, fine.
Put numbers
Yeah.
in my mouth.
So I know this one's gonna be a little bit harsh, but I'm giving it a 4 out of 10 because I had a hard time staying focused because I felt like it was too long. It didn't seem real to me, so I was like, I wasn't fully entertained. So yeah.
And I'm giving this one a 3 out of 10.
No.
That wasn't.
No, I see. I definitely see where you guys are coming from. I just, I found it fun, but I agree with your point.
We both, Tasha and I both have trouble with zombie movies, like getting into it. I don't know why. We've just never liked that genre, but that doesn't mean that we can't.
I mean, you can still,
Try it, give stuff its fair shake.
yeah. I mean, still recommend zombies and we'll watch it, but we're
Yeah, no,
just
we're-
not huge into it.
Well, yeah, we're not here to ban a certain
No,
type. Like everybody
exactly.
recommend what you want. That's the whole point of this.
So.
Yeah,
All monsters are welcome here.
Yeah.
That's right.
that's right. That's right. As soon as we start putting restrictions on stuff, it becomes way less fun.
Exactly.
Well, I think we should put a restriction that the movies are a max of 2.5 hours.
What movie was longer than that? Was Susperia longer than that?
Yours.
No, I'm just thinking like we can't recommend the original It movie or something like that.
Well, yeah, we're not going to go that far unless
Why
that's
not?
unless that's the only movie that we watch for the month.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If we completely run out of ideas, we'll just watch the original It, or like
Nah, we'll never run out of ideas. I got
Yeah,
like
there's-
100 in the backlog.
there's a million movies we can always watch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Josh, you want to start talking about
The
your?
Vavitch. Well, let's see your best synopsis, and you better not pull up the Wikipedia again.
Planning on that. Okay, so it's about this witch.
This
So
Vavitch.
back in the time of the settlers or the pilgrims, I believe that's during that setting. A family got kicked out of whatever village they were at, and they had to live out in the middle of the woods and take care of themselves. And they were shunned for something. I'm not exactly sure what it was. But during that whole time out in the woods, they started having to deal with this creature or something that was happening in the these events. All the animals were starting to die off. The kids,
Corn's not
yeah, and so the whole thing was just dealing with this supernatural entity without having, at that time of that time period where nobody could do shit. You couldn't even turn on a light. And so you have this thing that can just do whatever it wants, and you just have to sit there and take it and try to figure out a way to solve the issue. And you're kind of fucked in the end. But yeah, so it's just that whole, I guess, yeah, there it is. There it is.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Not bad. Can I add one thing to that, though? So the reason why that they left the village in the beginning is because he was actually a lot more strictly religious than the rest of the colony. So, like, the whole intro line and then, like, the banished thing. I watched it a few times, and I looked up, like, some stuff online just to make sure that I was correct on that. But he says that like you guys still are like an English church, and I think actually instead of them like deviating from it, he was actually trying to be like way too devout and too like more so than the rest of the village, and so they were starting to disagree ideology wise on like religious doctrine stuff. So that's why he ended up leaving, what was interesting was, like, he thought he was leaving, and that he was going to be blessed and all these things, like, religious-wise. But what was interesting was, like, what we're used to seeing in horror movies is, like, people getting punished for doing, like, anti-religious things, like doing, like, premarital sex and, like, things like that. Like, that's sort of an underlying theme. But the tables are turned in this movie where he's trying to do the opposite. And so he's not being, like, quote unquote punished by any external entity. He's just like, he just abandoned the colony, and now he's like dealing with this witch. There's no like, I feel like that there's no like godly reason in the themes of this movie for him to experience that. It's just like it's just happening to him.
Well, I'll disagree a little bit on that. I think he kind of the dad kind of was being punished because for like pride, like the sin of pride or whatever.
Yeah. That's
he was like, I know better than the church, and I'm gonna bring my family out into the wilderness, and I'm not going to admit that this was a mistake. And I'm
But were they young?
He only thought that he was doing superior things.
What is it, Josh?
Sorry, Josh.
Were they allowed to go back? Like I thought it was the whole like you can never go back.
Yeah, they were banished.
Like they left.
They were, but like after the baby went missing, and I think it was after the son died, the mother was like, all right, can we go back now and like beg them to take us back, or like take the kids to see the doctor or something? And he was like, no, we can't go back, or something like that. So I think he was kind of punished for that.
Yeah. He even almost banished himself, because they like the way that they spoke at the beginning was like, he very much so was like, okay, then I'll just fucking leave. You know what I mean? Like, he was very much, yeah. I would totally agree with you that he was being prideful, and that was the theme. My thing was, like, in his mind, he thought he was doing the superior thing, but yeah. Like, I didn't even think about that, but I'm conceding immediately. That is the theme of the movie.
Yeah, and I think that's even almost a common theme within these later movies is the whole devout, religious people with those very strong feelings that like trying to force something is not going to make it the way that you want it to go. It's always going to be the opposite. Where like when you fight harder, and the more your fear is actually going to happen.
Yeah.
And when you're so sure you're right, or you're so sure that you believe in this thing that they exist, it's then you're doing the right thing. But not having that open mind and not having that having the discipline to be able to know that you can be wrong, and that seems to be very common with a lot of people that are very hardcore devout, either Christians or anything like that. Like they will not want to stray from the line of what they believe in, and so it was a good aspect off of that whole, I guess, concept.
Yeah. Last week we hinted at like a theater experience we had, so I didn't want to forget to do that. But it actually goes right in line with what you were just saying, because a lot of people saw the movie and they were sort of rejecting of the message. And I don't know if it was because of, I don't think it was because of religion or anything. I think it was because when they were watching the movie, they felt like the things that were happening on screen were like ridiculous. It wasn't the movie they were expected, so they were like super rude. Like during the part where the mom is like getting pecked by the bird and stuff, they were like laughing. Like the whole theater was like that. It wasn't just a small isolated group. It was like the most disrespectful audience I've ever seen in a horror movie. But I mean, if that's their genuine reaction to laugh, that's fine. I just couldn't help but feel like that they weren't appreciating what was happening on screen.
Yeah.
And not to change the subject completely, but I had a very similar experience when I went to see Us, the Jordan Peele movie.
Tell us about this.
It was all, well, okay, I'll tell the story about the prom thing, but basically the whole audience was laughing the entire time, and they were all high school kids, and they kept talking to the screen and like making fun of characters, and it was, I thought the movie was really good, but it's just hearing the whole audience laugh at moments that are supposed to be tense was a little weird. And I was also mad because right at the climax of the movie, they stopped the movie so that this high school kid could ask a girl to go to prom with him.
Promposal.
And I was like, A, how are you kids in here? Because this is an R-rated movie and you're here by yourself on a date. And B, I don't care about your promposal.
R-rated is 17.
Not to derail the conversation too much.
Yeah. So most high schools, the junior year is the first year you can go to prom, and you're usually 17 in your junior year. And that's an R-rated movie.
Okay. All right.
Still.
Whatever.
All right. It's still rude. Like, I can't believe that the manager of the theater let that happen. Like, that's just horrible. Honestly, like, that is just disgusting to me.
That's just stupid.
Yeah.
Let's get back on the witch.
Yeah, let's get back on the witch. But I just wanted to say that my first impression of this movie was almost tainted by the group, and I was actually really hyped for this movie. And I think one of the reasons that happened was because the marketing sold the movie differently than what the movie was. Because there's no way, if everybody knew what that was, that movie would have made its money back. So they were like, well, let's make this look like it's going to be a really, jump scary teenage movie. And then it was like this period piece of like really deep themes and like just really complicated sort of movie.
I think
Sorry, Tasha.
it's okay. I think the scenery and the colors in the movie was really. I really enjoyed the colors and everything. I think it was really pretty.
Yeah. You mean the lack of colors, which is
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Like the low saturation.
The low saturation.
It looked like almost like just camera raw footage. Like you just get like a Sony camera, you put it in like S-Log, and you just press record, and you get that like flat movie profile. It looked like they just did that, increased the contrast slightly, like just was like done. Great is done.
Yeah, it helped emphasize that whole aspect of living back then and not having anything, no tools, nothing. So everything's just bleak in a way, and then you're kind of follow that traditional. Because is it the Omen again? I think that the Good Omen was talking about the witches. They read an entry in the witches, and it's the same witch that's in this movie. It's the naked old lady, like witches don't wear like whenever they do, I think it's whenever they do spells, they're completely naked or something like that. They can turn into, I guess, the inanimal. And so it kind of follows this traditional, like, if witches are real, this is what this would possibly be like, and especially during that time period, during the witch trials and all that type of thing.
Yeah, and I was able, when I was watching it, I was able to suspend my disbelief in like witches because of the period piece. So I was kind of watching it as if, oh, it was real back then, even though obviously that's not the case. But like, you're able to do that and just be like, ooh, this is scary. I was scared by it.
Go ahead,
Wasn't
Tata.
this movie in film festivals?
Yeah, I think this one premiered at Sundance. I might be mistaken on that. I think it was a Sundance film, though.
Yeah, for me personally, I don't like period movies, especially colonial period. Like how you guys said you don't really like zombie movies.
Yeah.
I can't do period movies. They're not for me. So when I saw
not like period.
yeah, okay. Let me also talk about. I appreciated the accuracy of the dialect of the characters. It felt very authentic, but I could not understand a word anyone said that entire movie.
Really?
Thou shalt not scare me.
No, it's just the way. I think it was the father, especially. He just mumbled everything, and his voice was so low, and he was talking in that tone, and I couldn't.
The language too during that whole thing.
Huh, that's surprising.
I didn't have any problems.
Yeah, maybe we should need some higher quality speakers there, Jake.
Maybe. I do too.
Maybe they need to speak correctly.
Gooder.
Yeah, you got to speak good like us Americans now.
I won't hear it.
Not good.
Are you bad? Are you bad?
Yeah,
Why say many word when few word do trick?
But I think it was a good movie overall. It wasn't bloated with unnecessary stuff like all the other movies we watched this month.
Yeah, true. The pacing was better in this one.
I will give it the period, setting it in that period around the witch trials, like you guys said. It did make the theme of like these hyper religious zealots basically that are willing, or like the father that's willing to endanger his whole family for his beliefs, or the mother she's basically gonna like sell her daughter to make money, I think, because she's selling her daughter to another family to bring in money or something for the family.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously it's stuff that would not work if this was set in any other time period. So
yeah, and I thought that the whole family panic scene was like heartbreaking watching it like this time, because the last time me and Tasha watched this movie, we didn't have Molly, and so like even by the end of the movie, I hadn't finished grieving about like how the baby was taken and ground up at the beginning. And I didn't expect that because I knew what was going to happen and stuff. But when it happened, I saw the mom and all that. It was like way harder for me to watch.
It was a different feel.
And between that and then like the whole scene where like as parents, you're supposed to make your children feel like super safe and super secure and all that. Like that's big responsibility of parents. And so just the scene where things are going so bad for them that they're like talking with each other and they're just like, we're gonna starve and all that. The children are hearing that. I'm like, oh my God, this would suck if you were a kid. Because like when your parents are starting to say things like panicky, like we're gonna starve, then you really start taking it seriously and it really fucks with you if you're a kid.
Man, I really thought the little siblings were little shits.
They're fucking hilarious.
Dude, I love them.
I was so annoyed.
Especially the little girl. It's like
like when they just pretended to act dead the whole time, like when it even got like super real.
They tried to get their sister killed. They tried to get their like sister executed for being
just because they were bored.
Yeah, there's nothing but to do, I guess. And yeah, it was kind of funny when the older sister like jokingly tells them, I'm the witch of the wood.
Yeah.
And then she turns around when the two twins say it to the parent. She's like, well, no, maybe they're witches. I don't know.
And they're like, wait a minute, maybe she's on to something. Like, pointed it back to them, and then they believed. Like, the guy believed. It was like, wait a minute, you're making some good sense here.
Yeah.
It also was kind of like a heartbreaking scene when the father, like, they basically lock the children in the barn
Yeah,
overnight.
with
like,
the goat.
Yeah, who is the devil, apparently.
Black Phillip.
Yeah. Philip. Yeah, I love how the kids won't pay her any mind, so I think she's trying to do the witch thing in order to, like, for them to, like, mind her a little bit better because she's tired of getting yelled at for not controlling them well. So then she did that. And can I just say real quick before I forget, upon this viewing, I realized that the little kid with the beanie, Caleb, he was trying to keep that family together the whole time. All he did the whole movie was trying to keep everybody from fighting and keep the family together. He even lies for the dad when they go out to cover his ass. He tries to diffuse the tension between the twins and the girl. Like, the whole movie, he was just a Chad. like everybody else was just losing their shit, and he's just like trying to keep the family together. I really appreciated that.
I think everyone in the family was punished and killed for something. He was killed and punished because he had unclean thoughts about his sister.
Yeah.
Well,
That was kind of fucked
Yeah,
up.
there's a lot of that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that part always makes me uncomfortable when he's doing that. I'm like,
So it almost goes against that whole, like, if thou shalt actually sin, like you're really sinning, then stuff will start happening. I don't know. It kind of plays on both sides of that whole, like, if you're on the religious view, and also playing with it and also following at the same time. It kind of had that interesting perspective.
I think those people might believe that the thoughts themselves are sin, and not just like the action.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's so much to unpack with this one, but like the only part that I found scary when I first saw this, and I remember this really clearly, was when like after the father had pretty much died when the goat did it, and then she killed her mom, and then she just went into the shed and put her head down, and there's this like really long shot of her doing that, and it just pauses for a while. I just kept expecting something, and so that, like, my tension was going up and up and up, and then it cut to the nighttime, and then my tension's even higher because I'm like, what is she gonna do? Her whole family's dead, like, and the devil's still there. This witch is still about. What's gonna happen? And I'm just like, my eyes are locked on the screen. I probably didn't blink from then to the end of the movie because I was like, and so every single time I watch this movie, when it has that shot that's on her face, and she's like, she's speaking to the goat, but she doesn't know whether the goat's going to talk back to her, and it shows her face for like a good 30 seconds just waiting, and then she turns around to leave, and then you hear this whispery voice. But my hair always stands up every time that he starts talking. I'm like,
Yeah, I think this movie did really well with keeping like the monster in the shadows. Like the shots they show of the witch like bathing in the baby's blood, and like the times they cut to that is very kind of horrific, and it's like, oh, that's a bad ass witch right there. And like how they with the goat, it would have been a terrible choice if they had showed the talking goat or showed the goat transforming into the devil creature. The fact that they left that all in shadow and kind of up to your interpretation made it so much more scary.
Did you think the floating at the end was scary?
When she like
when they're all like doing that blah, 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 and then they all just start levitating, I'm just like, I shouldn't be watching this.
No, I didn't think that was scary.
Okay. No, I didn't either.
Well, I like it goes along with that whole, like, even devils, monsters, everything, like, it's scarier because we thought of it in the first place. Like, it was imagined. It was all made out of imagination. So this still kind of kept that, but still had you understand that like this can be really scary because it's like you create that imagination, just like what the devil should look like. We had that whole the horns or whatnot, but somebody made that up and showed that and presented that to their own point of view. But like this also let you create your actual devil in your head and the actual monster in your head, and it kind of has that. It still sticks with that whole period piece, I guess. That whole let's stay real to it, but we'll play along with the fairy tales that
I think that's a good point about just witches in general, because it's always like with witch stories. I mean, as a kid, when you like the Blair Witch, like it's all about the horror comes from what you think the monster is, not from showing it. So it's I think they did that really well in this movie.
Yeah, that is a great point. I've never thought of that, but you guys just ranked up witch movies as a genre for me, because I really think that that's probably the truth. And
we did have 2 witch movies this week.
The ending of the Blair Witch remake is really good. Obviously, it's not the best movie, but the ending as a short film, like the last 15 minutes, really good. But
I never saw that one. But
maybe it'll be on my list one day.
The original Blair Witch really scared me as a kid, because where I grew up, it's like 30 minutes away from Burkittsville. So,
oh, cool.
That makes sense. Why it would scare you?
That's really cool. Maybe that's why you're into horror with us here.
Well, no, I hated horror because of that movie. I didn't get into horror again really until you made me watch Insidious.
Yeah, you hated horror.
Mike and Jake for getting me into it. I never was a horror fan because I was too chicken shit to watch anything. First of all, I didn't do anything to like. I wasn't watching with anybody, and I couldn't talk about it, so I just had these like scary thoughts in my head the whole time. So I always avoided that because I was a chicken shit.
I guess I'm the only one that started horror as a kid, so.
Yeah, Tasha got me into horror when we were dating.
Yeah, because I started watching like Freddy, like maybe a little older than Molly. So.
Yeah, I think I've always been drawn to like dark, or I loved the Haunted Mansion as a kid, the ride at Disney.
Yeah.
But I would have never watched like Freddy Krueger or anything like that.
Oh yeah, I was like two or three watching Freddy.
I loved the scary alien ride when I was a kid.
That was, oh my god, that scared me so bad when I was.
What, the flight of fear?
The one that like disgracefully got turned into a Stitch ride instead of
Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
That was honestly terrifying.
It was, and I loved it.
I think my background as a kid though was with scariness, and I had to deal with real. Like my parents were shits in the point where they actually created those real scary moments, like as pranks on us. So like we had that, and so I guess that's where they even to a point, because I was in Scouts, and so we were on a camporee, and we decided one of the evenings just to go out walking and hiking out in the middle of nowhere. And we were like out like about not by actually the Berkeley Springs, but they already scouted out an abandoned house that they saw out there, and they set this thing up. And then earlier on in the day, didn't tell anybody. There's only a couple people in on it, and then like just a bunch of the guys go out, and we're just walking, and then they're really good. They're like, oh, hey, let's check this out. It looks like it's abandoned. Like let's do that. And so middle of the night. Like literally nothing in the house, abandoned, just flashlights. Like they put a noose in the middle of like a rope.
Oh my gosh.
At the very top of one of the rooms, because we had to go up the stairs to get into the house. And it was abandoned, like everything was real. It wasn't like they just put a little bit of extra stuff in there just to kind of add on to the thing. And then they had, my older brother was in on it too, and so he was hitting the pipes downstairs. And we didn't know that he was even with us in the first place. And so he was hitting that while we were hearing the sound. And
that's
then
really
they had,
elaborate.
Yeah.
No, you don't understand.
I wish I had a memory like this. That would be cool.
I probably wouldn't like horror.
We didn't rate the Witch, so we're doing the post.
Oh yeah, we went off on a tangent.
Yeah.
All right, Josh, what's your rating?
Yeah, Josh.
I think it was a very good and refined movie of the traditional concepts. Like they hit on every single thing on like what I guess all these origins of like the devil and the witch kind of come from. They kind of hit that. So I guess just like how it was last time for director's intent, I'll do a 8 out of 10.
Okay.
All right, I'll go next this time. I like that The Witch is essentially a piece about the fear of unknown. I forgot to brush on this when we were discussing the different plots of the movie, but I thought that the edge of the wood and the way that they lit like the area around the house and the edge of the wood, it was very much so like the unknown being out there and in the woods, and just the fear of like what's out there at night. So I really resonate with that concept. I thought it was scary. I thought even the child performances were excellent. Like everybody's performance was great. Period piece. Like I like that aspect of it. I didn't have any trouble understanding them. I don't need a hearing aid. I'm just kidding.
It was not a volume issue. It was a dialect issue.
The dialect. Yeah. So I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, so I guess that's all I have to say about it. But I'm gonna go ahead and give it like an 8 out of 10. It's one of my favorites. It's on my list of like some of my favorites. So thank you for recommending it, Josh. I enjoyed it a lot. And the scene where the kid is like possessed and stuff, I thought he pulled that off really well. Like, that really had the opportunity to be really silly, but he was able to sell it. And yeah, he was just like, I'm gonna die now, and then he just died. And I was like, okay, well, I'm freaked out now.
One thing, when he vomited up the apple, I was like, okay, come on now.
So did they cut his tongue? Is that what they were cutting when they like put the knife in his mouth?
I don't know.
Okay, they cut the inside of his mouth. I'm pretty sure he like had his tongue in a way where the apple wouldn't fit, so they sliced it, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. Didn't they like cut his do a gash on his temple or something to let the evil out?
That was towards the beginning, but when he was choking on the apple, they sliced the inside of his mouth, and then the apple came out. So I assume that there was something blocking it. Maybe they sliced the side so his mouth could open more or something. It was kind of grotesque a little bit, but like I was into it. So
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I don't either. I know the temple thing, and it has been proven like it. That stuff did happen back then too. The whole like letting the evil out, so they would like, and also anybody that had issues, like what's it called? When they like stir up your brain basically, and then patch it back up because they thought that helped release all the bad energy. Like that stuff happened a lot during that time period too. So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. That they kind of kept on to that, and gave it to that.
Yeah. Sorry, I spurred a little bit extra discussion, but 8 out of 10.
So I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I mean, I like it, and I like the contrast and the child acting, but I'm probably going to have to give it an average rate between 5.5 to a 6 for me.
Fair enough.
Go ahead, Josh.
He already went. It's your turn.
You did?
Yeah, Josh went first.
I didn't hear my score, so we'll see if we actually do the same thing.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, you're not going to do the same actually for this one thing.
I'm not paying attention at all today, apparently.
Maybe you should pay attention to the movie. So
I was trying so hard to pay attention to this movie, and I did. I couldn't understand it. And I'm having a hard time rating it because when I was watching it, I didn't like it. I was like, this is a period movie. A, I'm already out, and B, I was like, I hate these children. I was not into it, but it was one of those movies, like the more, like after I was done watching it, I kept thinking about it, and then I was like, well, that was cool, and then I would like piece together themes and stuff. So I think, like Josh said, for director's intent and for kind of making me think, I guess I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for that. I didn't really enjoy watching it at the time, but it stuck with me. So I guess that means it was a good movie.
Okay.
So what's your actual rating?
He said 8.
Did you say
8 out of 10?
Okay.
That was one thing that was interesting about all of them was fascinating, the actors, like the change of quality of actors from like that 1975 to now, like it's so freaking different. Like you couldn't even that actor today is nowhere close to like the actors back then. So it's interesting seeing the evolution during the industry of movie industry with all that.
I wonder why that is. Is it just they were more like whatever. They didn't care back then, or
I guess
just
it was
honest.
a few years of TV back then, so they didn't really understand.
Yeah, maybe back then it was easier to keep people's attention, and it's like
Probably.
I think the standard just goes up over time. Like the standards of movies, the standards of acting. Just everybody like wants to keep pushing the envelope.
yeah.
I'm curious about what 20 years from now is going to be like for acting. Like, what is that going to look like?
Yeah, every kid is going to act better.
It's going to be
like,
video streaming.
Leonardo
It's not
DiCaprio.
even going to be a movie.
There's going to be movies with like literal infants, and it's going to win Oscars.
Should we go ahead and do our
Just
overall?
talking baby.
Yeah, we can do our overall rankings. I'll go first this week. I don't know if I went first recently. If I keep doing that, then I'll realize it and I'll go like last next time. But I'm going to rank it quickly because I feel like that we're pretty clear on the way that we feel about these. But I'm going to say Suspiria, and then The Witch, and then The Omen, and then Dawn of the Dead.
Okay. Mine would be Susperia, Omen, Witch, and then Dawn of the Dead.
Mine is Witch, Dawn of the Dead, Omen, Suspiria.
Wait, you liked Witch the most?
I gave it the highest rating, so yeah. Technically.
I can't believe you gave it an 8 after not being able to hear it.
Hey, it was very methodical. I wanted to give it like a 2, but I can't because I liked the story.
All right, Josh, what's your overall?
I'll go from last place to first place.
Okay.
Worst was
Okay.
put The Omen, and then so Omen, Dawn of the Dead, Suspiria, The Witch. But Suspiria and The Witch
They
are
tied.
kind of a little bit closer to each other, but Dawn of the Dead because of the entertainment value. The Omen, it answered a lot of questions, but it didn't really get me going.
It didn't tickle your pickle.
Yeah, it didn't tickle my pickle. We're not tickled.
Podcast is now rated R.
Yeah, seriously.
Not rated P for pickle.
So,
Isn't it amazing that we were able to pick a 4-pack of movies where The Witch was the fastest paced movie in the set?
yeah, because actually that's a pretty slow paced movie.
It was slow paced, but it was only 90 minutes. Or it wasn't. It was like an hour and 20 minutes. It was really
Yeah,
short.
it was.
It was faster paced than all the other ones, though.
For sure.
So should we go ahead and do our recommendations for next month? 'Cause
Yeah, and
I'm
then
having-
we'll do our breakout conversation, and then we'll wrap this one up. So
I'll
go ahead, yeah, go.
I'm going to recommend 1982 Stephen King's Creepshow.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so excited for this one.
She's gonna give this one a 10 when we do it. Spoilers.
Okay, go ahead. Somebody go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna recommend this hipster indie movie that I know Jake will probably
Did that
like.
once already.
Yeah, it's called In Fear, and I would like you guys to watch it as if it took place in West Virginia, even though it's clearly too flat to be West Virginia, because totally could be, because our roads suck. And I don't want to spoil anything, but the whole gimmick of the movie is like 80% of it probably takes place in a vehicle with 2 characters. So there's barely any characters, and it unwinds. And me and Tasha have been referencing it when we watch other horror movies. It's a staple. It's one of those that I like to show people when they come over, just if they like horror, and just because I want to show them something they've never seen before. So it's on my list of like some of my tops. So yeah, In Fear.
All right, Jake.
I wasn't sure what to pick this month, but I'm going with Wishmaster.
Oh,
I've never seen it, and I want to see what 90s horrors got other than Scream.
I like
Yeah.
how you always recommend movies that you haven't seen.
Well, I thought that's why I'm doing this, because it's like these are movies I want to see.
Okay.
That's my personal goal with this, but I see the idea of recommending movies you would like already.
all right, and Josh.
I'm going to be honest, and I'm part of the few that have not seen this movie completely, like actually followed it. You guys probably The Exorcist.
Really?
seen the traditional Exorcist, like the very first one.
Okay.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Okay.
I'm
You know,
feeling the
honestly-
judgment over
Honestly,
there.
I haven't seen that in a long time.
It's been a while.
Like, if somebody asked me to write down exactly what happens from beginning to end,
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be able to.
You always got those famous scenes, but not the actual like what it's about. Like you always know about her like on the bed and her head turns around. But
To be
like,
honest, I think the last time we watched it was for year 26.
Of course.
Yeah, that's the last time I watched it was
So,
before
Yeah.
Horror
let's
Nights
be
that year.
About 3
honest
years
here.
ago.
Yeah, so let's be honest here.
So that's a good
Okay.
recommendation. I mean, what kind of horror fans can we call ourselves if we don't do The Exorcist?
I mean, we can do like a maybe if there's a good chance everybody's seen it. I'm gonna watch that, but maybe compare that with a new Exorcist, the newest Exorcist movie that came out.
What new
What
extra?
was it?
It was a show, right? There was
Yeah, it's a
couple
show.
years ago.
It's actually, you need to watch the movie before you watch the show because I've seen most of the show. It's a follow-up.
Okay.
It's not required, but like if you guys want to discuss it in the next one, I probably won't have time to get to it because it's already a lot to watch the 4 movies before the podcast. So I'm just gonna go with the 4 movies. But if I really am inclined, though, I might play the show in the background while I play World of Warcraft.
I think it's 2 seasons. Maybe 3. I've only seen the first season though, but what I've saw of it, it's actually pretty scary. So I mean,
Okay. Cool.
so.
Yeah, my thing is I want to know why
But
it's one of
watch.
the best.
You need to
all
watch
time.
the movie first, though, Josh. Trust
Yeah.
me.
This month's episode of Pennywine Horror Club is brought to you by Ya Bit, zombie repellent. Only available at Zen Zombie Outfitters. Based on Facebook targeting, we know that you and a few acquaintances are holed up inside a mall during the zombie apocalypse. Not to worry, we are still open in our prime spot right between Hallmark and Orange Julius. Just look for the Buddhist zombie or listen for his tambourine. And we are excited to offer Pennywine listeners 3% off if they bring in a zombie torso and say the code word, Flyboy. So remember, what's the most important question to ask this apocalypse? Ya bit? Spray does not work on biker gangs. Torsos must include 51% of the carcass. Other body parts cannot be redeemed for cash value. Additional terms and conditions apply. Cannot be combined with any other apocalypse offers. Void in Alabama and Utah.
I hate the remake of Poltergeist. Too much CG.
I didn't really like the original Poltergeist that much either.
I like the original, but again, I'm in the classics, so what can I say? So.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know. The doll that flies against the wall is hilarious in that movie.
Yeah.
Poltergeist?
Yep. Just that stuffed child doll that you see that I saw all the time in the 90s. Apparently everybody had one. Or like it's just like this little standing child. Like they literally threw one of those against the wall when the wind was going through it. And you had the little balloon guy. Like I don't know. It was entertaining. I liked it a lot. And I think the Horror Nights did a good job last year.
Yeah, that was the best house. I think.
It really was.
Oh yeah, that was the best. Like that one was better than even all the original ones. That was the best house period for sure. Dude, I don't think they've announced all the rest of the Halloween Horror Nights houses, and this is weird, isn't it, for them not to have announced it by now?
No, they usually they'll do like it's about time for them to announce another one, but I think they usually spread it out through the summer.
But the thing is, they have not said a lot of IP houses. They've only said Stranger Things.
Well, they did Stranger Things, and I think the Universal Monsters is technically an IP house.
I could kind of see that one, yeah.
But yeah, the fact that they've only done 2 IPs, that must mean there's another big one coming.
Either that or it's really crappy.
No, I think they can get whatever IPs they want at this, except
Unless
Stephen King.
King. Yeah, apparently Stephen King. They need to have a Conjuring or an Annabelle house. That would be cool.
Oh yeah, they can't get that either.
Actually,
They can't get shit apparently.
Other than classic horror, it seems like.
Well, that's okay. I did hear about how they got The Conjuring once, and then the year 25 when we first went, they got Insidious.
They
and
never
those are
do Conjuring.
No, it was rumored they were supposed to do it in 27, and the Hive House, the vampire house. It's rumored but never confirmed that they had built that to be The Conjuring, but then they lost the rights or something went awry, and that's why it's vampires set in the 80s for no reason. I don't know how true that is, but that was the rumor I heard.
I wish they would have had that Scream house though instead of the Purge.
I would argue that Scream and then like for some reason I don't know if that one has as much staying power though. What do you think, Tosh?
I mean, there's gonna be like a lot of Ghostface popping out, but it's just as much as the Purge, really.
Yeah, I think The Conjuring is probably the most valuable modern horror IP. They've pretty much made it into that. So that might be why. Aside from maybe obviously It, which broke horror box office records and stuff, but I'm just talking like series wise, The Conjuring has been doing pretty well.
Is anybody gonna go see that remake of Child's Play? Because I am not. Because it looks like crap.
I wasn't going to, but I saw some initial reviews and people were like, "It's honestly decent. You have to remove the originals from your mind, and this is like a whole other universe. Don't even compare it to that." That's what people say.
Well, let's just say I hate the 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street. Again, I hate it. So Child's Play is not. It's one of my favorites, but it's not my favorite. So I might like it. I don't know.
I've seen mixed reviews, but I thought it was going to be all like everyone hates this movie. But I've been surprised by the amount of positive reviews I've seen. So I probably will go see it.
Okay.
This summer has been pretty dry for horror movies compared to other
it hasn't
summers.
hit July yet. They all come out in July.
I know, but like marketing wise, I would have heard about more stuff. I think feel like they had that mom movie that was very poorly received.
Annabelle comes out this week, which I kind of want to go see.
Yeah.
I'm done with Annabelle. I'm done with the whole Conjuring.
I'm not sure if like the witch, or not the witch. Sorry, the nun was so bad that I'm almost done. I'll give it a couple other chances. I'll have to see who's directing it and do a little bit more research on it. But as long as it's not that same hack director, then maybe I'll give it.
I think the new Annabelle might be all right because they have the Warrens in it, right? So they're trying to bring it back.
Yeah, they have Lorraine and Ed Warren, so that's why a main reason I want to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say Dr. Sleep was a terrible trailer, which I'm kind of scared because Mike Flanagan did it, and let's just say right now he's already screwed up one. The little girl is actually supposed to be white. She's not supposed to be black. And it ties in with the book. Once you read it, you'll understand why.
Okay. Yeah, I do want to see that. And I was talking to Tasha a little bit. I want to read that book too.
It's really good. It's not as good as The Shining, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest again. That's another movie that I have not completely followed.
The Shining?
What?
Yeah. I know, and that's like even in the graphic of this podcast, right?
Oh my gosh! Well, it's on. I think it's on my list. Believe me, by the time this is through, you will have all the classics done.
Well, I've attempted it, but I keep falling asleep, man. I'm just really tired all the time.
You got a visitor behind you, Jake.
Oh God, you scared me.
There.
Yeah.
Don't. We're doing a horror podcast, so there's somebody behind you.
Yeah,
just take your Freddy glove. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm good. I got Freddy, Jason, and Ash Williams guarding me. I'm fine.
Yeah, so you're good.
Yeah, what happens when an unstoppable force beats an immovable object? But yeah, I mean, one thing I'm like pessimistic about is like, okay, I saw Us, it was fantastic, and then any horror movie that's come out since then has been poorly received. I didn't go see Ma because I didn't like the premise of it, and I know I would hate it.
It sounded stupid.
It sounded really stupid. It just sounded like it was made for teenagers instead of us. And then so you have that, and then you have like, It Part 2's coming.
I'm excited for that.
I think we're gonna skate by summer with like barely. And they had the Poltergeist remake, which I liked, but I think we're gonna skate by summer without a whole lot.
You mean Pet Sematary?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that one was pretty good.
Did I say Poltergeist remake earlier? Yeah. Oh my god, that movie was shit. I meant the
Okay.
Cemetery. Oh my god, I might have to edit that out earlier.
No, leave it in.
I'm kind of
no, because somebody's gonna stop the podcast before this part.
The thing is with part 2 of It, and this is what I have problems with even in the original. I don't like the second part. I'm more invested in the first part when they're kids than when they're an adult.
Yeah, but I think they know that, so they're gonna try super hard.
I know, but I just don't give it my all when I watch the second part.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for this movie. I think it's going to be good no matter what they do. It's going to be real jump scare heavy, which might turn me off, but I also don't know how they're going to do it because like 2/3 of that book is them as kids. Very little is them as adults, so I don't know how they're going to make a whole movie.
It like 2 hours, yeah, I mean.
Maybe there's probably going to be a lot of flashbacks to the kids again.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did in the original too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, wasn't it like they start the movie off as adults and then they like talk about their childhood?
Yeah, in the book, in the original movie, it's like back and forth. The two stories are happening simultaneously.
Anthology. Not really. Well, I don't think there's any other horror news to discuss. So, Jake, where can people find your sick ass T-shirts?
Yeah. Well, if this is your first time listening, I make T-shirts, and my shop is called Jake and Stein Apparel. It's subtle horror T-shirts you can wear out in public any time of year, and nobody will know that they're horror, but you will. So, yeah, I just had a new one come out a week ago or a couple weeks ago. It's themed to Gremlins. It's Gremlins, but the car Gremlin is the joke.
It's a good one. It was a good one.
Yeah, so if anyone wants to look at that or any of my other shirts that are themed to like Jaws, The Shining, Texas Chainsaw, Friday the 13th, a lot of the slasher ones I have shirts for. It's jakensteinapparel.com.
They can follow you on Instagram too?
Yeah, I believe it's Jake and Stein Apparel on Instagram as well. If you want to see some really low budget videos of me wearing shirts.
Oh yeah, the commercials. Those commercials up.
Yeah, don't also forget to leave a like on this video, comment some meanies. We still don't get any meanies.
There was a meanie last week. Somebody gave Josh a 2 out of 10 rating in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. I'm pretty sure it was Josh's girlfriend.
No,
I think she's fans of this thing.
Jake did.
I gave Josh a 2 out of 10, and then Josh's girlfriend, she agreed with me, and then she actually had a good point about the Rosemary's Baby when we were saying how ridiculous it was that they were smoking, and she said that when that movie came out, that was still medically okay to smoke while you were pregnant.
Smoking, and I think she was talking about the drinking in it as well.
Yeah. Which we also pointed out that there was some drinking. There's some pregnant drinking this week. But because of her comment, we did not mention it because we can't complain about it.
Yeah, because it was in Dawn of the Dead. She was drinking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just because she didn't care.
Well, that too.
Yeah, so thanks for the correction. You know, we're just a bunch of mid-20s retards and we don't Google anything. So.
I'm not mid-20s.
Yeah. Well, Tosh is like 30, but she doesn't like me to tell people that.
You just bleep it out. Tasha is like, beep.
Yep.
All right, thanks for listening, guys. If you made it to the end, then you're probably equally as autistic as we are.
Oh, you're bleeping that one out.
Yeah, we still have the beard.
Yeah, you're deleting that, Mike. If you made it to this far in the video, you're probably Josh's girlfriend.